Welcome back to the Bounce of the Ball. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review and share us on the socials. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and like all our videos. Okay, guys, I'm just filling in for Chappy for the intro today. We are here with Football Focus. I believe it's episode 7. Gentlemen, how are we?
We good, Rob. We good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you, Rue?
Not too bad. A little bit bummed after last weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, boys, I didn't think you'd be too bright and happy, but you do have Man U on Tuesday morning, so there is a lot to smile about coming up. But I did mention to Chappy before, I'm actually thinking you guys are the ones who have more to lose in that game than Man U does, so I'm sure that'll be a talking point later. But so the boys have got a bit to talk about this week. I'm going to let them get to it in a minute, but one of the things I wanted to chat about with them before I let them go is, as you know, I'm getting into football again this year, and I've become an avid fan of Liverpool. And the other morning, I was livid, absolutely livid, at what I thought was a very soft call. Ended up being a red card to Darwin Núñez. Pretty much changed the dynamic of the game, I think. But so I come from a sport where we kind of mockingly say that football is a game for gentlemen played by thugs, and rugby is a game for thugs played by gentlemen. So we have a duty of care. I do understand why there is the hoo-ha about any kind of like raised tensions on a football field and all that kind of thing. For 3 weeks, thoughts, gentlemen?
Age before beauty.
Yeah. Now you go.
But I say, okay. All right. My feelings were on one side. I'm looking at it and I'm like, he barely made contact with him. I don't think he actually made contact with the head. It felt like more of a shove than anything. It felt like more jostling around. Should have given them both yellow cards to calm them down.
Bit of an Academy Award there as well. The opponent.
I mean, it's almost like the defender was winding him up because he must have had some research. I mean, maybe Vieira did his research and understood that the right type of centre back can get under his skin, and that's what they push towards. Brilliant if you're looking at it from that. Yeah. But I feel like there was a time when they said with VAR that if a ref is going to issue a red card, he needs to go and review, have a good look at it, and see if there was contact. That was the way it was supposed to be. He just went straight for it.
It seems pretty justified by the suspension that's been handed out, but at the same time, like you said, that I thought yellow at best deserves a review.
I think so too. I definitely think so too.
Second Premier League game ever from another league, language barrier possibly. Look, I get. Look, the rules are pretty direct. Head contact, no nonsense, zero tolerance. I get that, but I just feel like there was enough there that the ref could have had a look again just to make sure he was happy with the red, or taking a pause and yellow carded them both because they were having to go at each other the entire game.
Yeah.
Like the ref would have seen that. Somebody would have told him. When the ref goes at halftime, he goes and looks at footage. He goes and gets feedback from his assistants. So they know what's going on that he's not picking up. I feel like the referees.
Is there like a new player bias, do you think? And like the English player, was it an English player?
I think it was Danish or something like that.
Okay, then. So that theory goes out the window. Don't worry about that.
But it's more the English are pretty serious when it comes to football in the sense that they feel they created the game. Their version of the game is the best. That's why you hear the Premier League is the best. All of that sort of stuff. I get it. I feel like by pushing that agenda, they're also blinding themselves to certain faults. Like the tunnel vision that comes with a perspective like that. You know what I mean? It's important.
So is there kind of a
yeah?
Would there be kind of like an emphasis to have a bit? I'm not going to say less passion, but be not as warm-blooded as the South Americans apply themselves to the game when playing in the EPL.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
I would say that. Because I mean, Suarez was also feisty in that way, and yeah,
Because he
most
did get a bit. I think he was.
yeah, yeah,
He was more feisty after the red. I think he was just a bit incredulous at the idea that the guy did it in the first place and took the dive he
yeah,
did, and then the red just sent him. But yeah,
yeah. It's an interesting conversation. It's an interesting
it is.
conversation. A
It is.
three-match ban is pretty harsh, but it is
It's
what it
rough.
is. Yeah, super harsh.
Yeah, so I'm used to watching sports where you've nearly got to kill a
Look,
man to get a 3-match suspensions.
well, you got
Even in basketball last year,
great length,
when
right?
that guy
Yeah.
Stewart got punched in the face by LeBron, and then he tried to like run through the entire security guard team and everyone else and the entire Lakers team to get to LeBron to murder him. But
Yeah,
they only got
he
a match ban suspension each. So yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Who knows? Just it is what it is, like you said. So okay, boys,
That
I'll
is
let you
crazy.
discuss the rest of this week that's just gone in football,
Cool.
and I'll check back in with you soon.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Rob.
Too easy, boys.
Thanks, Rob. Taona. I often have a fair bit of forth with a few of the little things that jump around in the game. I wanted to get your take on some of the transfer activity we're getting with Man United.
Yeah.
They're starting to ramp up a fair bit of it right at the beginning. I mean, right at the end of the window. And I mean, think about it. Interest in Mario Cardi, interest in Anthony from Ajax. They've put in an offer apparently for Mateus Cunha. They've signed Casemiro with a medical pending, and they're considering a loan for Pulisic, as well as
Yeah.
getting Jan Sommer or as cover for David De Gea. The boys look like they want to be busy in the last few days of this window. What do you think?
I think it's a lot of panicking from the board right now. I think they expected Ten Hag to be at least mid-table at this time, but like they're at the bottom, like straight at the bottom. And the quality is actually even showing on the pitch that there's absolutely none. So I think the board right now is panicking and they're scrambling. Remember, like a few weeks before the league even started, they were told Anthony was what 70 or 100 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they were like, no way we're
ridiculous figure.
paying that price for Anthony. And now to think that they're going back for Anthony just shows how desperate the club is at this moment and point. And I would understand it. But yeah, I would understand it. I mean, will they challenge for high honors or for top four, even if they get these guys off over the line? I don't think so. I think there's still some work that needs to be done. So yeah, panic buy away, definitely.
I feel like, all right, so when I looked at Man United before the start of the transfer window and the little things that they needed to get done, there was clear signs of things they needed to sort out. An
Yeah,
additional striker, defensive midfielder. For me, I thought they needed another centre back and a right back to challenge Juan Bissaka.
absolutely.
After
Yeah,
the transfer
absolutely.
activity and going for wingers and all that sort of stuff, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I also feel like they have a few youngsters that they needed to blood in and give opportunities to, and those are your wingers, right? Those are the kids that you're
Absolutely.
going to play in the Europa League against softer opposition. But
Yeah.
there just doesn't seem to be the type of cohesion that you're expecting to see from a club that plans the stuff out. You know what I mean? I
Absolutely.
think I think Cunha, Atletico, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg because they'll need to replace Cunha with someone. I think he's a decent
Absolutely.
player, but he's not going to
Yeah.
bring in 15 goals a season. Um,
Not at all. No.
for me, I would have gone for Andre Silva as soon as I heard that Timo Werner was headed to RB Leipzig because they've got Nkunku, they've got Werner, those guys are starting, and they've got Emil Forsberg on the bench. If you're Andre Silva, you're looking at it like this is a World Cup year. What am I doing? I
Exactly.
can jump in Man United, get a bit of pay. I can
Yeah,
link up with the Portuguese speaking contingent and have a real
absolutely.
go at it. I feel
Yeah,
like Cunha is a I won't even call him a Diego Costa type of a striker. He doesn't have a great goal return. He's decent with the physical stuff, probably some really decent movement. But you needed somebody who's going to give you a 15 goal return if Ronaldo's giving you 18. If Ronaldo leaves, then you're going to
yeah.
get whatever windfall comes from that. But then Rashford can give you another 10. Martial can give you another 10. You can find these goals from a team that you need to build up. Maybe Alanga will contribute 5 goals there. Your midfield contributes some goals, but I just don't know about the guys they're bringing in. Let's say they get Icardi. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. How are you going to gel him into that team?
Yeah, I think Ten Hag would have to do something about that. But even though, bro, like I think the season is a complete write-off in getting the right results because you're bringing in players that know nothing about the EPL, right? And you need
Mm,
them. Most players who don't get the ground running when it comes to the EPL at least need a season. You know what I mean? So yeah,
mm.
it's a hot mess at United right now, and I'm glad we're playing them at this time before all these signings come in, and hopefully we get those 3 points, man.
Now you've raised a really important point. We're playing them tomorrow night, Monday night
Yeah,
football,
yeah,
at the Theatre of Dreams.
yep.
I'm actually a bit concerned because of our inability to get the results. I think we've taken 2 steps forward and maybe 4 steps back a little bit, especially with the injury crisis and things like that.
Okay.
Where do you see us? Because I know you're a staunch proponent for the way Klopp's approached it, the way FSG has approached it with the transfers and such. But where do you really see where we're at this season, especially given the last 2 games we've played?
Look, just looking at the last 2 games we've played really well. It's
Mm,
not like we haven't done anything that we didn't do last season. The only issue is the
mm,
goals that are lacking, right? So
mm,
I would say our front three is probably the issue. I mean, with Darwin in there, goals were coming slowly, but they were not as lethal as we would have loved them to be, right? Uh,
mm,
Looking at Man United's game, I think us playing well is going to be super awesome. And the fact that Man United are not known for low blocking is also a plus on our side. Because if we look at the teams that we've played, it's either
they
been
pulled
an
out the low
excellent
block.
job, yeah, an excellent
Mm,
job, like a fantastic, exquisite job at low blocking, or
mm,
it's a team that has played our game against us, which is basically Fulham, because Fulham was literally stopping us from going into their half. They were playing our game, and I don't think we expected that. But yeah, I think with Man United, it's just going to be one of those games where it's back to winning ways, back to the same type of football where um, they'll try to low block, but they won't get much because that's not their game. And obviously, they're also going to be trying to do possession
press.
football. And exactly. So, yeah, I think we'll get the best out of that game. I'm looking forward to it. And what's your take?
Mm.
That's a good
Um,
appraisal of the technical situation. Though I want to actually just sprinkle a little idea about the psychological situation that may be occurring on the pitch.
Good point.
okay.
Good point.
So I actually think I was discussing this with Chappy the other day.
Yeah.
The pressure isn't on Man U at all, I don't think.
Yep.
They're
Yeah.
playing at a level that no one's actually expecting them to win this game, and Liverpool is. Now,
Absolutely.
Liverpool is struggling to put points on the board. So they're struggling to get that ball in the net at the moment. And you're just going to have to really, if you're going to be honest about this, I honestly think that, yeah, the pressure is completely in Liverpool's court on this. And I think there might be a psychological element to it going into the game.
Absolutely. No, that's
I agree with you to a sense about the pressure being with Liverpool because the expectations also with Liverpool to perform, and we haven't been performing. So definitely, I think these guys, especially given the last 3 years, and the fact that Jurgen Klopp has won one of everything since he got to Liverpool, at that level, the expectation is that we're going to be producing better results than we're producing. That's a fact.
Yeah.
One thing I was mentioning to Rob at the beginning was I don't think we got it all the way right with our transfers this transfer window. I felt like some of them are transfers for the future, but one or two were needed for now. I mean, Darwin Nunes is what, 23? Like,
yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I know what I was like at 23. Now, give me talent and all the pressure in the world. I'm not making good choices. So,
No, I am not.
while Rob just had some flashbacks of his 23. So I am 100% with you on the fact that the expectations with Liverpool, but I also think with the way we play, I don't think we were terrible. And anyone who says we're terrible, it's
Absolutely.
because of the expectation as opposed to the actual performance.
Absolutely.
I do
Absolutely.
think there was elements of it being disjointed because if you saw the preseason, it was more of the
Yeah.
same, right? Like
Yeah.
getting guys minutes and all that sort of stuff, 110%. The performance there have been terrible. It just needs a couple of things to click. My problem is who are you going to get to do that? The game breakers. Because when Salah wasn't performing, Sadio would
Yeah.
perform. Bobby was injured.
Yeah.
You got no Sadio. Now it's Mo. Mo's trying, but Mo's got all the attention in the world. Bobby's not pulling defenders off him, so Mo's got to deal with that. Luis Diaz is performing phenomenally, right, with his
Yeah.
attacking play,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's again not Sadio. If we went to this season knowing
To earn a
he's
clap
not.
back
Look,
at a
no.
tweet during the week, I believe. Twitter or
I
is the clap
did.
back
I
on?
did. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Do you want to carry on that? Yeah. You take over now.
Yeah,
Taona.
No,
what happened?
so ESPN put a post, and basically what they were saying is that was it ESPN? I think it was. And basically what they were saying is that Sadio leaving Sadio leaving is worse than Salah leaving, right? And then I was like, no, that's nonsense. Do you get where I'm coming from? So basically,
Ooh, look
what
at
people are
Rue.
now
The cogs are ticking.
We've had this discussion
we have this
for
back
like the
and forth.
last 3 years,
Absolutely.
so we knew who we would prefer to leave in the event that you
Yeah.
had to pick one.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True.
You would only let Salah leave if you could get a massive windfall for Salah. Mane was the harder worker, but Salah was the X factor, 20 goals a season. That's not coming in every transfer window. Sometimes you have these once in a generation
Absolutely.
goal scorers. And like
Absolutely.
right now, let's say in the last 5-6 years of the Premier League, 4 or 5 guys are scoring that many goals, right? You've got your Harry Kanes, you had your Sergio Agueros, you had your Mo Salahs. Son had a decent season last season. I don't know if he's going to replicate that, but Mo has consistently scored them type of numbers. Sadio had one season when he did that. So I think I love Sadio Mane, but I think people are getting caught up in the drama of he wanted to get paid this much, we wouldn't pay him this much, but other people are getting paid that. The fact that he was doing all this charitable stuff on the side, and then they didn't talk about the actual football. Hardest working guy, lovable guy, probably not a big stress to be around. Brought great energy, heart and soul. All this sort of stuff was probably the first player that Klopp brought that started off this change, right? But at some point you need to move on, and they made a choice. They decided, look, we can't pay them both the same amount of money. Mo gives us more goals. Sadio is a performer, but we could probably move him on and replace him in a couple of seasons. Luis Diaz is coming in. We bought him in January with the idea that we're going to move Sadio on, and Luis Diaz is a real threat on the left. He's getting busy. Language barrier and all that aside, give that
He's
guy
still
another
struggling to find
season.
his feet at the moment, but yeah, you can see that there is incremental improvement.
Exactly. And people underestimate this. these guys do not naturally speak English, right? Once that barrier, the language barrier is overcome, the culture shock is overcome, and all these other
Yeah.
elements are done, that guy
I
is
try to
going to be a
explain this to my
problem.
students. When you're speaking to someone in another country, okay, and like they're speaking to you and you're in a different language, just think about the fact that you've got to actually hear it in their language, take it in, convert it into your language, then reconvert it back into another language to say back to them, okay?
Ex-
Like there's a process that's
exactly.
happening, okay? And you don't just do that on the fly when you're playing EPL football, okay? Like it's just,
That's
yeah,
exactly.
there
And
is, yeah,
they have to remember you're doing all that while there's another guy on the other side of the field who's trying to stop you, who's getting paid a lot of money to try and stop you. This
yeah.
is
And you can
competitive
imagine the
sport.
psychological mind games that are occurring as well as the physiological mind game, like
And that's
games that are
Yeah.
occurring.
what happened
Yeah,
to Darwin Nunes. So um Sadio had all of that time to acclimate at Southampton. Then he came to Liverpool. He made his one mistake against Man City, got red carded for that high foot on the goalkeeper, right? And after
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
his game, he was smart about it. So again, Luis Diaz, Darwin Nunes, I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, not this season. Couple of seasons to come, they're going to be destroying dudes. Like they're going to put people to shame, right? They're not going to be
Yeah.
playing against defenders the caliber of a Virgil, right? They're going to
yeah,
tear people up. I am 100% confident. But we needed somebody for now, and I don't think we did that. So whatever we get this season, I don't think we're going to be winning a title. I don't.
yeah.
Look,
But Man
I
United's
would.
going to get that work tomorrow. I'm going to let you guys know. Let's not get it twisted, people. Man United is going to get that work. Because guys are
Look,
pissed. Like they're pissed off about their own performances. They know what happened in preseason. They know that wasn't a good
yeah,
look. People have got points
yeah.
to prove. Whether or not we deliver is another thing, but I'm confident that whatever guys going to bring on Monday, it's not going to be a
Mm.
joke. They're going to mean that 100%.
Look, I
Yeah.
jokingly sent a message to one of my friends, and I was like, "Look, Fulham beat Brentford 2-3-2, right?
Mm.
And we drew with Fulham. So what does that say,
Oh, here we
bro?"
go. Here we go.
But
Here we
anyway,
go.
no,
Alarm
that's a joke.
bells, alarm bells. That's what that says. Okay.
No, no, I'm
That's a
with you.
joke. But
Look,
but but I would like to
hmm,
go a little bit further from what you said because look, yes, a lot of people are saying if Mane was around, none of this would have happened. That's true, but let's look at it in a sense
I
of
don't think so.
if Mane was injured or was not available to play. That's the situation. That's a more equal situation because
Okay.
people are not looking at the injuries and obviously the suspension of Darwin Nunes that we've got. Personally, I think that this season, what's that
Chappy
boy?
said 11 first team injuries. Is it 11 first team injuries
Yeah,
and now the Nunes
Yeah.
suspension on top of that?
11 first team
Okay.
exactly,
injuries.
exactly.
So
That's
So
you
correct.
I
put it in
think
that context, and things are way more understandable.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I
But
think that
all the other
Darwin
teams just say excuses.
exactly. They will. That's why you
So
can't use that
they
card.
have
That's
to.
why you can't use that card. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
to exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
They
But
have to say that.
honestly, I think that Darwin Nunes this season, not Darwin Nunes, sorry, Luis Diaz this season is very, very.
Mm.
He's going to blow Liverpool out the water. I definitely think he's going to play really well, and I think. If we look at the signings that we've done, they're basically replacing fringe players that we had in our what is this in our second 11. So I think we did well. It's just the injuries, man. Imagine if Jota was still playing. I mean, come on, man. We would have. We haven't lost a game. We just drew. If Jota was in that team, he's putting in at least two. You know what I mean? Yeah. So all I'm just saying is that I wouldn't write us off the title this season. I still think we can go for the title, and it's going to be a long season, obviously. And I really like the hype that's coming from the Arsenal team because they think that they're also going to win the league. So it's going to be lovely to see how we all fare up at the end of the league, at the end of the season. Yeah.
All right. Something I forgot to touch on, boys. And I think Rob and I had this conversation just before we went on air. People are forgetting that the Man United fans ain't happy. They're talking about potentially boycotting the game or causing some sort of disruption. There's talk that Jurgen came out and said he wants points if these guys cause a disruption or stop the game in any way, because obviously it's going to result in a fixture clash. We had the same issue last season. Rightfully so, the guys are pissed off, right? But then from a football sense, Liverpool might feel like they need some sort of compensation of some sort if the Man United fans prevent the game from being played, because they're going to be using this as an opportunity to have a go at the Glaciers, especially considering that bid from Sir Radcliffe himself when he wants to buy Man United. I think it's going to cost him like £5 billion or something like that. So Jim Radcliffe, former Man United board member, is part of a consortium that's looking to buy Man United back. The Glaciers apparently are open to a
Elon Musk tweeted that he was going to buy Man United through the week.
That dude.
He's like, I'm going to buy Man United as well. Thanks. Yeah, you can thank me later.
I'm going to choose my words very carefully when talking about Mr. Musk, just because we need those Twitter followers.
Exquisite troll. Exquisite troll.
I don't think the Glaciers are going to sell Man United. Not unless you make
absolutely. I think so too. Yeah.
And not unless you make it.
It's their cash cow
for them to keep the club. Yeah, they're just pulling money out. They're not going to sell.
Yeah.
But I think whoever's interested in United needs to consider putting in an offer to grow an interest. Maybe not take them over right away, but grow an interest, because I don't think those guys are going to sell. What do you think there, Rob?
I agree.
I feel so sorry for Man U fans, but I don't know if I should yet. It hasn't been long enough. It's still too soon to feel sorry for them. They danced on the graves of everyone for years, and this is kind of like some sort of natural justice. This is natural justice.
Absolutely. That's a good one.
I agree, but I also feel like, that aside, my biggest concern is, I mean, we're probably not going to talk much about them today because there's a few other transfers we wanted to get off the board, but Man City is a juggernaut, right? And the issue with Man City is you need strong teams in the league to compete with them. Arsenal will perform very well right now, but Arteta is not designed to outfox his former boss, right?
Yeah, growing up is knowing that Man United needs to be strong for the league to be strong.
Arsenal needs to be strong. Spurs needs to be strong. Chelsea needs to be strong. Man U. That's it. That's all. That's the only reason I want them to be strong, so that Man City has competition. Not because I want Man United to do well. If them, no, not even close. But if they can, I'm censoring. But as long as they can cause problem, take points away from Man City, that's what you want, because you want it to come down to the wire with 3 or 4 clubs involved in it right up to the end. That's what I would like to see. Right? Something.
Australia has the issue with the NRL with the two. For most of the year, it seemed like a 2-team league. 16 teams, which is ridiculous. And you don't want that. You want depth and talent spread across the league, so you have enjoyable games of football to watch each week. So
absolutely,
you're not too good.
Now, while we're on the topic of building up strength in the league, there's been a fair bit of transfer activity with Chelsea. They're in talks with Aubameyang. Personal terms have already been agreed, but then there's a bit of conjecture around how much he's going to be valued at by Barcelona. I think Barcelona were looking at something close to 30 mil. Chelsea's looking at 15, especially considering his age. They've signed Cesar Casedia from Inter. They're looking at Wesley Fofana from
Leicester City.
From Leicester, and they're also looking at Anthony Gordon, allegedly, from Everton. That Anthony Gordon one is the one that sticks out for me, because Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, do they really need
Anthony
him?
Gordon.
Like, yeah,
Do
doesn't
you know what
make
it
any
is for
sense.
me?
Yeah,
I think they're looking at the talent they have, and there's a lot of talented guys in that Chelsea team. Right, you got your Pulisic, you've got all
yeah,
these other fellas. They're very talented, really good on the ball, but they're not really causing the goalkeepers a lot of problems. The defenders as much of a problem.
got it,
That Anthony Gordon
got it,
kid is just a menace, right?
got it.
He's like Danny Ings circa 2008, 2009, whatever it was, right?
Yeah,
2012, 13, sorry, where he's a busy bee. He pulls center backs away. He's making shots on goal. And maybe they're looking at that and saying, all that other stuff we can teach, but that ability to cause a menace to other defenses, that's what we want to sign because that's probably something our guys aren't giving. And that didn't create space for the other strikers we're trying to put on board. Maybe that's what they're looking at. What do you think, there, Taona?
look, I I think maybe also they're looking at it being a long season and covering their injuries and all that stuff. But to be honest,
Mm,
it looks like there's a lot of hoarding that's going on here. I mean, yeah, it's fair enough that we can say Anthony Gordon can do all of that stuff, but when I look at Tuchel, I look at someone who's gonna clip Anthony Gordon's wings and say, "Hey, you need to learn how to defend," or you know what I mean. I could be wrong, but yeah, I feel like when it comes to attacking, that signing of Aubameyang, at least Tuchel knows Aubameyang, so probably there'll be some decent results that'll happen there. But that Anthony Gordon signing makes no sense. I think the kid should not go there. He should just stick it out at Everton and sign for another club where he'll actually get starting time, or yeah, he won't just sit on the bench. What's your
okay.
take?
Okay. I think that's fair. No,
Mm,
you've hit the nail on. He's not much game time at Chelsea. I
absolutely,
know
yeah.
kids get excited about, oh, I want to go play in a Champions League team. I want to do this, and I
Exactly,
look at some
exactly.
players that have gone to clubs like Man City, like Jack Rodwell, and other fellas who went there and sat on the bench and their careers died. Anthony
Yeah,
Gordon needs to think
absolutely.
about the football and potentially not the glitz that's going to come from whatever team it is. If he finds himself in January with Everton at the bottom of the table, that's a different story, right? But
That's
as it
true.
stands
That is
right now
true.
in this first half of the season, I think he just needs to keep his head on, stay focused, stay with Everton for the time being, hold fast, and then see where he's going to go, where they're going to go after. Maybe there's going to be some investment, mixing things up here and there. I don't think Frank Lampard is the manager at the moment to club from the challenges it's facing. You need somebody a bit more consistent. But like we're probably gonna have another segment altogether to mess going on at in the interim. Anthony, this podcast, which I hope you are, because this is a podcast for football analysis. Stay put, my boy. Don't be tempted by life in that part of London. It's you're not yet there. Like, be honest with yourself. You're not yet there. You're a very talented young boy. You're gonna get there, but focus on the football. It's a man's game, as Greg would say.
Yeah, I'll definitely see
All
that.
right.
I'll definitely see that.
Now, who else? We've seen a couple of other moves there. Mateus Nunes has signed for Wolves for 45 million euros from Sporting Lisbon. He was a guy Liverpool were potentially looking at as a midfield. I think
Yeah,
he's also a guy who's about 23 years old. I
yeah,
have
yeah.
absolutely
Good
no problem
age.
with that decision for him. Very smart move. Good age. Goes to Wolves for a couple of seasons, then we buy him after he's been tried and tested in the Premier League. Great transfer strategy, boys.
Will we
No
buy
problems. No problems.
him?
I saw a little bit of his game. I think we'll
Yeah,
see in 2 years, but I'm looking at certain guys and I'm like, I think they were linked with us for a reason. Pep Linders is really good with his analysis, looking at these players. Maybe they would have recommended him to a Wolves and said, hey, look, we're interested in the boy, but probably not right now. Take him. We'll come
Yeah.
back to you guys in a couple of years and pay you a fair price for him.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a very interesting take. That's a very interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I asked if you had a chance to run your eyes over him um, during this weekend's games.
Uh, are you talking about Matthew Nunes?
But yeah, yeah, Nunes, the other
So,
one.
so I didn't watch. Yeah, I didn't watch anything that he. I didn't watch the Wolves game, and I do know that they lost. But look, I think maybe I would wait until. I'd be super shocked if Wolves make him a starter every single game from now on. I mean, they will, but it's like sheesh, man. Like fresh off the boat, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I didn't watch him, but January I'm definitely going to start like seeing what he's done. But look, the stats from the league where he came from, those stats were just insane, man. And I think they've got a player there.
So he he got the highest rating that I've seen so far. Oh no, Ruben Neves got the highest rating that I've seen so far from a Wolves player, followed by Mateus Nunes. So on goal.com, they rated his performance as 7.4. Ruben Neves was rated
Okay.
an 8.1 in a losing effort. So, I
That's
mean,
pretty
look,
decent against a very good Spurs team. Yeah, that's pretty decent.
if if we average that out and we bring it down a shade, look, even a performance of a 6 on your first game playing in the Premier League, he might be one
That's
to keep an eye on.
absolutely, absolutely.
He might be one
Yeah,
to monitor there. Um, what are your thoughts so far? Like, I know we strayed away from it for a little bit. What are your thoughts so far on Chelsea Football Club?
I think Chelsea. I had doom and gloom for them. That was my prediction, but I think they'll fare up pretty fine. I think their team is looking like the regular Chelsea. It's just will they be able to hold it? It's the same conversation that I also have for Arsenal. Will they be able to hold it for a whole season? That's where the question lies. I mean, everyone's laughing at us for our draws, but it's a long season, man. Last season we got 12 draws. Let's just say these two are part of that 12. So it's a long season. Let's see how it goes. And I think Chelsea will be fine. They just need to stop hoarding. They got a lot of players already. Yeah, I just don't understand it. But
I
then
think
again, I also learned that because they don't have any debt on their books, it means they're actually trying to create debt by buying these players, which is pretty cool. They get to actually do that. So, yeah.
I I think okay, so the hoarding element, I think the rules put in place by the league is kind of gonna, in the long run, limit them. They're probably gonna start selling off some of that younger asset class that's probably not quite
Absolutely.
ready for that first team opportunity. They're
Yeah.
still gonna. I don't know what they're gonna do with their youth development because they had so many good young kids coming up, Broja and all these kids, talented players. I feel very strongly about what the work they were doing, bringing a lot of talent through, and I felt maybe this change might force them to start using a bit more of that talent. Maybe
No,
it's a
they
bit
won't.
limited considering the last 10 years and how many talented kids they've moved on and they've gone to go and perform at an AC Milan or somewhere out
Yeah.
there. They've gone and done great things. You've got uh, your Fico Tomoris, you got your Tammy Abrahams, all these guys that ended up going somewhere and doing a decent job. You've got Chaloba, the young Chaloba they have right now. His brother went off and did some good things at Watford, and I think now he's playing at Crystal Palace or something, and he's a defensive midfielder. They have a lot of
Yeah.
young guys. You've got that young right back at Brighton.
Yeah.
He's another special talent. I'm not sure I would have let him go because eventually you needed somebody that was going to perform in that role and somebody to put a bit of pressure on Reece James. He would have been absolutely perfect. So maybe they should have inserted a buyback clause or a right of first refusal or something. I think Chelsea is going to be a very different animal now that Marina and Pep and Petacek are gone, and Roman Abramovich is gone as well. Looking at the talent they have right now, they're going to be consistently a challenge, but they're not going to be the type of threat that they used to be without a bit of cohesion. And it doesn't help that talented strikers like Timo Werner or Romelu Lukaku are coming out and making comments about the coach and how his style of coaching, something you clearly have agreed with them on the past, that Tuchel's more of a defensive coach. I like Thomas Tuchel. I think Tuchel is a very talented coach. I think those two centre backs have failed to take ownership of their flaws in the game and their inabilities to show true character. So I'm really interested to see how he's going to battle through some of the challenges he's facing in this window. I mean, in this season.
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic at Chelsea. But yeah, let's wait and see. Let's
Talking of
see what.
Chelsea, I'll just put this up on the screen. So, the other day,
Mi corazón, my heart. I love this.
this was a very interesting moment. So, I've seen some strange send-offs in my time, but after the game's over,
That's when
thoughts,
all the
gentlemen.
good stuff happens.
I know, right?
Look,
I,
I was on Twitter and everyone was like, "Yeah, this is what football should look like." We want that competition back. Look, I actually, honestly, I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's just part of the game, but yeah, I hope it just doesn't go too far. And from what I saw from the interviews that they had, it was all jokes, it was all fun, so yeah, it's not going
Yeah,
anywhere.
bit of
Yeah.
banter, bit
But
of show, just for the show, just for the
exactly,
cameras.
yeah, but it
Yeah.
was exciting. It was really exciting.
It got
It's
international
funny.
attention on the game. You know what I mean? So that's
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. It's funny how
Anything that
like the
brings interest.
cameraman It's funny how the cameraman thought it was just another day. So as the coaches are walking towards each other, he's also moving and he's going for that shot, that
Yeah.
that movement shot
Perfectly timed.
and the handshake exactly. And then the guy stops him, who's this Tuchel stops him from going forward. And the cameraman is like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Yeah, it was just brilliant, man. It was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it. Love to see it.
Great TV.
I
Exactly.
had I had absolutely no problem with either clash those two gentlemen had. I think that sort of thing has kind of been blown. Like, look, the first clash when they had a bit of afters after a goal that was probably not supposed to be a goal or whatever one's opinion would be on that.
Yeah.
I can understand that there would be a little bit of afters there, without a shadow of a doubt. The second one at the end, that was more Thomas Tuchel probably starting off being petty and Conte being a hothead. I would have
Absolutely.
left them. When people rush to that sort of thing, it makes something look bigger than it was. I would have left them.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Have you ever
And
noticed
you
there's a
know
lot of
what?
people that look
And
like they
people
want to
genuinely
fight?
do that to posture. They want someone to rush in and stop them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't get
Like, hold me
anywhere,
back,
but
bro.
just
You don't
stay.
want to let me hold me back, bro. You don't want to hold me back,
I
bro.
wanted. I would have wanted to see what would have happened if nobody rushed them. They would have had to, because they would have had to chill out with nobody
Yeah.
preventing. Like, the whole
Or
rushing thing that blew
or
it
man
out.
up and escalate and do something about it.
If you gotta scrap, you gotta scrap. Like, there's no
Yeah.
problem. Like, look, I know people think that this game is supposed to be gentlemanly and whatnot, but Graham Souness said it, and I'll repeat it.
They're just a
It's a
bunch of
man's
thugs. It's
game.
just a gentleman's sport.
What do you guys think of the heat that went on Graham Souness after that comment where he said it's a man's game and got slaughtered by every Me Too mover or whoever came out and
Oh, of
said some stuff
course.
after that?
Yeah.
I've got
um,
my opinion, but I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Actually, this is the first time I'm hearing it. I actually
It's
didn't know.
It's misspoken.
I shared the
Everyone
post with you.
realizes what he's trying to say, but then like, how dare you speak out of
Yeah.
tongue? It's like, yeah, we get it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to be so sensitive about every word that comes out of people's mouths. In my mind, if they're generally, if you got the gist of what they're trying to say to you, and it's not literally spewing hatred, racism, or anything to that effect, then we can afford people the generosity of, you know what I mean, like what they were trying to say instead of being grammar Nazis and word police.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
And that's about the thing. Just to bring some insight, he's come out and said, "Look, this is a man's game, based off of the physicality and some of the brow hoo ha ha going on, the Conte and Tuchel thing, and he's been misinterpreted as saying that, I guess it's a man's game.
Football's a man's game, not the EPL. That the highest standard is a bunch of men who are full of testosterone. And it's a man's game. Do you know what I mean? He's been taken that football is a wider context, is a man's game, but it's not. It's everyone's.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like,
and I feel
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to think how they think, man.
Yeah.
But I think I know. I know why people would have concerns about comments like that, but if you look at the context of what he was talking about, it would give you insight that the man was talking about the physicality, the aggression happening between the two coaches, the competitiveness. No quarter given. That's what you want to see, right?
It was a testosterone fueled encounter. Yeah,
yes.
There wasn't too much estrogen flowing in that encounter. Okay, so
look. That being said, you get Amanda Nunes in there, and she's gonna put some hurting on somebody, and she's one of the.
You're gonna knock someone the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's not saying it's a man's game. It's saying it's a game not for soft. It's a game for some tough, hard shit. And
it's a tough sport. That's what he should have said.
The saying is, it's a man's
tough
game. Yeah. That's right. And he was,
and that's what he probably meant in the context of saying
that's exactly what he meant. Yeah.
How old
that's what he was known for as a player.
How old is the man?
Yeah, he's like 50-something years old. Like that's
his
vocabulary. Yeah, 50,
he wasn't
60-something.
raised
That's
in
how
the
fathers
bruising.
But I feel like the mistake.
Man's grew up in the 70s. God.
He grew up in the 60s. He played in the 70s. You know what I mean? Like people don't understand that when we start to, like, okay, let's just say Graham Souness has a problem. Let's just say his problem is Paul Pogba, right? Those areas you can clearly see that he can't be rational when he's talking about Paul Pogba and all that sort of stuff. He doesn't like millennial players. But when we start giving things like that the attention, in the sense that villainizes a guy who's just doing his job, I feel like we lose the credibility to go after people who are intentionally trying to interfere in the progress of women's sports. We need to be objective with some of this stuff, because the more you cry wolf or you do something of that sort, it's going to lose credibility when you're trying to push an agenda, because there are people out there who genuinely think we want the game to be tougher. What the refs are doing by letting a lot more contact happen and things like that is what we're trying to see. He comes out and says something that appeals to them. Then you come out and say, "Oh, he was going after women." Those guys are gonna be like, "You know what? I know it. You liberals. I'm gonna yeah."
Yeah, and what happens is that each end of the political spectrum gets fed with, like, you're pointing at each other, you're trying to ruin my sport, you're trying to be a misogynist. But at the same time, like, what's actually happening is somewhere around the middle, if someone's just poorly worded a statement where they're trying to emphasize the toughness of a sport. Okay. And they're from a different time. So
that's right.
Yeah, I think we just need to be more generous now. Like if
I don't feel
if
like
someone in their 20s came out and said, it's a man's sport, and then started spewing some shit about Andrew Tate, you'd be like, okay, we know where you're coming from. But since we know it's a bloke who, like, probably, talks up the woman's game quite a bit, and probably, he probably doesn't say disparaging things about it. When he says something like that, it's in the context of the time he's from, not the fact that he's sexist or against the concept of the women in sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. We had a really passionate review of some of the activities going with some of the bigger clubs, Man United, Chelsea. We'll be looking at some of the other guys as we progress, but we'll probably end the show on there. Give us a like, subscribe, and share it on your socials, especially that little tweet that got posted on ESPN by Rob. So thank you guys for showing up and giving us your time. Hope to see you again soon.
Peace.